What's up, everyone? My name is Nelson, coming to you from the top of Chicago, Illinois, and you're watching Gameflow. We just ended week 5. What a Monday night game. Chiefs versus Jaguars, and we're going to jump right into it. Coming into the game, Patrick Mahomes leading the Chiefs in rushing, just showing how inconsistent their offense has been. The Jaguars leading the league in takeaways on defense, showing that they have something to prove. Jaguars were down early 7-0. Trevor Lawrence tried to tie the game, leaping over the goal line, fumbling, giving the ball back to Kansas City. The Chiefs capitalized and extended their lead. Lawrence eventually found the end zone and had a game later on in the second half. Just wait till we get to that. Stopping Mahomes and their offense, quick 3 and out. Lawrence leading the score to tie 14-14. Then Mahomes driving down the field. Pick 6 from Devin Lloyd, 99 yards the other way. Jaguars are up 21-14. Duval was going crazy. Monday night game. Fourth quarter interception by Lawrence gave the ball back to Mahomes. Short field, Kareem Hunt punched it in. And now the game is tied 21-21. In the final minutes, Mahomes methodically drove the Chiefs downfield again, and Hunt scored a TD. 2 TDs for Kareem Hunt gives Kansas City a 28-24 lead with under 2 minutes remaining, but Lawrence showing that he's not a bust, especially to me, thinking that he was a bust. Hitting Brian Thomas Jr. on the sideline, later on getting a pass interference call that moves him inside the 5-yard line. And Trevor Lawrence, what a play. Gets tripped up by his own center, scrambles the ball, defenders everywhere, somehow finds his way into the end zone to put them up 31-28. Kansas City, with less than 30 seconds left in the game, could not close. Jaguars improved to 4-1. Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs dropped to 2-3. Some notable stats here. Mahomes, 29 for 41, 318 yards, 1 TD, 1 interception, 1 rushing TD himself. Kareem Hunt, 7 carries, 49 yards, 2 TDs. Lawrence, what a game. 18 for 25 yards. 18 for 25, 221 yards, 1 TD, 1 interception, 54 yards rushing. Trevor Lawrence was using his legs a lot during this game, and Kansas City could not stop him. He looked like a gazelle running through the Sahara, and they just could not slow him down when he kept going. Thomas Jr. had clutch catches, 4 catches for 80 yards. Kelsey, on the other hand, 7 catches for 61 yards, 1 TD. They contained him pretty well. Lawrence answered the critics, including myself, thinking that he was a bust going into this season. I needed to see more poise. I needed to see more action from Lawrence, and he did that tonight. What a game from the Jaguars, and what a performance. Duval is now 4-1. Some of my quick initial thoughts from this game. Liam Cohen and Trevor Lawrence beating Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid. That's a huge accomplishment, not only for this team, but for the morale of Duval and the Jacksonville Jaguar team. I'm really excited for them. Again, I had my doubts for Trevor Lawrence. I hadn't seen much of what we expected to see from him when he was originally drafted number 1 overall. But this game right here shows me that Trevor Lawrence is the real deal. I'm hoping that Liam Cohen can bring this team out of the dirt that the Jaguars have been in for such a long time, especially after the years that they had. Who was that head coach from Ohio State? Can't remember. Doesn't matter. He was trash. It's really good to see them get back on their feet, starting off the season 4-1. And for Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid, they're down 2-3. And I think today, and we saw this last week when they played against the Ravens, I don't think that the Mahomes magic is gone. They showed it on the graphics on the game. They have 3 wide receivers who run under 4.3. That's a lot of speed. And even during the game, you saw that if Mahomes has more than 3 seconds to throw the ball, there's no DB in the league who can cover that much speed and that much space. He's going to find someone that's open. He's going to throw the ball down the field, and he's just going to make a play. It's the Mahomes magic that we still see. You know, we saw him scramble when they had that last drive for them. You know, Mahomes was, contained, nowhere to go, somehow scrambles out, uses his hand as a third leg, and scrambles for a first down. And like I said earlier, Patrick Mahomes is leading his team in rushing. That's crazy. I don't think he can do that all season. He's going to get hurt if he continues to do that. You can't replace Mahomes with all that speed on the offensive line, on the offensive side of the ball. You need someone who has the arm to get them the ball downfield. It's glad to see Worthy's back. Glad to see Hollywood Brown doing his thing. But, I think that Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid have a lot to look at to see what's going wrong, because they are in this game. They are in a lot of the other games that they play, but they're not producing the wins that they need in order to be in the top of the division, because right now it belongs to the Los Angeles Chargers. And just a quick note, something that I did like to see, Travis Hunter, three catches for 64 yards. We did see him have his best offensive game of his rookie career, of his rookie season so far. However, I do think that they need to make a decision with him. Is he only going to play offense? Is he only going to play defense? Right now, it looks like he's really good at offense. It looks like that he's more confident in that role. They used him as a DB to guard Xavier Worthy. It looked like he may have pulled his hamstring a little bit, but he was right back in the game. But, it's exciting to see him play. It's exciting to see Duval do well this season. And I'm excited to see where it takes them from here. Jacksonville Jaguars showing that they're here to play in the AFC. Let's jump back to Sunday, where we have the Eagles versus Broncos, and this was a fun game to watch. Philadelphia Eagles coming into Week 5 undefeated, while the Broncos were looking to build on last week's 28-3 dominant win over Cincinnati. And it was an ugly start for Denver, I'm not going to lie. They could not put any points on the board until the fourth quarter. But let's just talk about the Eagles for a second. Heading into this matchup, Jalen Hurts was getting criticism for not being a downfield threat, throwing the ball. And while his passing numbers haven't been eye-popping, they don't need him to throw the ball. The Broncos defense flipped that script and shut the running game down. Saquon Barkley, A.J. Dillon, Hurts, and Shipley all combined for 45 yards rushing, making Hurts throw the ball. Sean Payton said that if you're going to beat us, you're going to beat us with your arm. And that they could not. Through the air, though, Hurts wasn't bad. He was 23 for 38, 280 yards, 2 DDs, 0 picks, and only had 3 yards rushing, as mentioned before. Through the air, whenever he threw to Devontae Smith, it was beautiful. He was doing most of the heavy lifting that game, 8 catches for 114 yards. Man, for someone who's 6 foot, 170 pounds, there's a reason why they call him the Slender Man. Dope nickname. I love it. Sometimes he just looks unguardable. A.J. Brown, he had 5 catches for 43 yards. You wonder if he's going to continue to make some noise about not being involved as much. I don't know if you guys saw, but Jalen Hurts had him open down the field after he ran a slow go. Could not get him the ball, overthrew him. You know that he's frustrated about that. And in the passing game, Saquon Barkley did end up having 3 catches for 58 yards and a touchdown. Dallas Goedert did chip one in, 3 catches for 19 yards for the other score. Overall, the passing game from Philly wasn't bad. They need to get A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith involved more, though. Moving on to the Broncos, who, like I said, only scored 3 points in the first half and didn't score a touchdown until the fourth quarter. Second half adjustments just show how blessed the Broncos are to have Sean Payton and how much of an excellent coach he is when it comes to making adjustments. Bo Nix looked poised, confident, going for 24 for 39, 242 yards, and a touchdown, connecting to Evan Ingram for the score. He also rushed for 22 yards, showing that he does have some mobility, and I do love seeing that, especially from such a young QB. That was his 22nd start as an NFL QB. You love to see it. You love to see him and Sean Payton have that chemistry. J.K. Dobbins was an engine. 20 carries for 75 yards, fighting for every single one of those yards. And Cortland Sutton finally having a receiver to show the league that he is an elite receiver. 8 receptions for 99 yards. Consistency with him and Nix on third down. He was clutch. And the Broncos defense, like I said, relentless. They sacked Hurts 6 times and kept him uncomfortable for the entire game. He looked lost. He looked confused. It's probably why he overthrew A.J. Brown down the middle. Turning point. of the game. Again, with Sean Payton making the tough calls, going for 2 on their first touchdown, just shows the confidence that Sean Payton has in Bo Nix. The Broncos scored 18 points in the fourth quarter, holding the Eagles scoreless. They take the win. Broncos 18, Eagles 17. Philly takes their first loss in the season, and the Broncos improve to 3-2, sitting right behind the Chargers in the AFC West race. Looking ahead, Denver does face the New York Jets next week, so you know that's a win. And Sean Payton's squad's looking strong. Bo Nix is gaining confidence, and the team might quietly be the one who will take the AFC West away from the Chargers. We shall see what they do moving forward. I am excited for that. The Eagles are playing the shameless New York Giants Thursday night. Overall, before jumping into the Lions versus Bengal games, I do want to flow through some of the games that I did not get a chance to see, but seeing some highlights, I do want to give you my opinion on the results of these games, starting with the game overseas in London, Vikings versus Browns playing on Sunday morning. Vikings continue with Carson Wentz at QB and Browns debuting their new rookie QB, Dylan Gabriel. And he had a good game, but in my opinion, he still looks small. The Browns were able to get some of that run game going. Quinshon Judkins, 23 carries for 110 yards, but it wasn't enough to take on the Vikings. They take the win 21-17. Browns drop to 1-4. Moving on to the Cowboys versus Jets. Dallas coming off a disappointing but fun tie game against the Packers last week. So they're looking to take it out on the winless Jets. Dak Prescott was 18 for 29, 237 yards and 4 passing TDs. One beautiful deep ball pass to George Pickens, a new dangerous threat that the league needs to look out for. Jake Ferguson had 2 TDs, and Williams caught 1, rushed 1. Dallas improving to 2-1. Jets still being the Jets, dropping to 0-5. Dallas wins 37-22. Moving on to the Colts versus Raiders. Colts are hoping to bounce back after losing a close one to the Rams last week. Raiders hoping that they can turn the page around, but they did not. Geno Smith throwing 2 interceptions again. That's back-to-back multiple interception games from Geno Smith after throwing 3 last week to the Bears. Colts run game continues to dominate. Jonathan Taylor ran in 3 TDs. Daniel Jones continues to shine. 20 for 29, 212 passing yards and 2 TDs. Colts win this one easily, 40-6 against the Raiders. Texans versus Ravens. Both teams are desperate for a win, having disappointing starts to the season. The Ravens not starting Lamar Jackson. He's out for a week or 2 with a hamstring injury. Instead, starting former Cowboy Cooper Rush. And they got a completely different result from what they're used to. Cooper Rush throwing 3 interceptions. Derrick Henry only rushing for 33 yards. What is going on with the Ravens? Stay tuned for my segment on what's happening with the Ravens. They lose to the Texans 44-10. Woof. Moving on to now the Giants versus Saints. Giants are hoping to build off that first win against the Chargers last week. Rookie Jackson Dart continue to show why he is their QB, hoping for a second career win. But Saints are also looking for their first win of the season. After having a dominating 14-3 lead, the Giants started doing Giants things. Turning the ball over, Darius Slayton had a fumble. Cam Skattebo had a fumble. Jackson Dart not only had a fumble, but he threw 2 interceptions. The Saints capitalized and come back, beating the Giants 14-26, draining the Dart era momentum. We now move on to the Panthers versus Dolphins. Panthers are hoping for a win after coming off a brutal 42-13 loss to the Patriots. Miami hoping to have back-to-back wins after beating the Jets last week. Tua threw a clean game, 27-36, 256 yards and 3 TDs. Not enough to beat the Panthers. The Panthers actually came back to win this game. They held them to 1 TD in the second half, just enough for them to come back and win 27-24. Miami drops to 1-4, sitting at the bottom of the division, right next to the winless Jets. Moving on now to the Titans versus Cardinals. Titans and the number 1 overall draft pick, Cam Ward, are looking to get their first win of the season. Another number 1 overall pick, Kyler Murray, are looking to get their 3rd win after starting 2-0 and losing their last 2. Cardinals were ahead 21-6 going to the 4th quarter. all momentum deflated when Demaracadu, sorry for the mispronunciation, he opened up for a 30-yard rushing TD, but he could not score. Want to know why? Because he fumbled on the 1-inch line. Why do we keep doing this? Why is this still a thing? Okay, after that, the momentum completely dropped for the Cardinals. No TD for Demarcadu. Titans come back and score 16 unanswered points in the fourth quarter. Cam Ward gets his first win as a starting QB in the NFL. They take it 22-21 against the Cardinals. Cardinals, third loss in a row. Tough break for Kyler Murray. He looked lost. He looked confused. He does not look like he wants to play for the Cardinals. Washington Commanders versus Los Angeles Chargers. Chargers are hoping to come back after losing to the Giants last week. Commanders are itching to get momentum back after losing a close one to the Falcons last week. Commanders' run game was strong. Crosby Marriott, 14 carries for 111 yards, 2 TDs. Chargers struggled to protect Herbert. Commanders' defense got 5 sacks on Herbert threw a costly turnover. Commanders took advantage of it. They showed why they are the toughest opponent in the NFC. Right next to the Lions, right next to the Packers. They are up there. They beat the Chargers 27-10. Chargers are now on a back-to-back losing streak. And last but certainly not least, we do have what arguably is the game of the week. Buccaneers versus Seattle. Both Mayfield and Darnold threw the ball like there was no defense, because that's exactly how they played. Darnold, 28 for 34, 341 yards, 4 TDs, 1 costly pick in the fourth quarter. Baker Mayfield, 29 for 33, 379 yards, and 2 TDs. Rashard White had 2 rushing TDs, and he was clutch in this game, guys. No defense, like I said. What was happening out there? I don't know what the DBs were taking vacation that time. Seattle, like I said, gives the Bucs the ball back in the fourth quarter, gives Baker Mayfield prime position. White had a clutch run to get them into field goal range as time expires. The Bucs win 38-35. I believe that is Baker Mayfield's third game-winning drive of the season. What a player, what a team. Baker Mayfield on MVP watch this season. And that was the flow through for some of the games that I could not watch in full in week 5. Thank you so much for listening. And now let's jump into the Lions versus Bengals. Detroit coming into this game with a 3-game winning streak, while Cincinnati are desperate to stop their losing streak after starting 2-0 and hoping that their season does not spiral out of control after losing Joe Burrow to turf toe. He is out until December, we hope. And oof, they could not stop the Lions early. Bengals offense struggled. It couldn't have gone much worse for them. Browning throwing 3 interceptions, and that last one was brutal. The linebacker was right there staring him down, and Browning just gave him the ball like an early Christmas present. It was tough. He was 26 for 40, 251 yards, 3 TDs, 3 interceptions. And let's be real, those 3 TDs in the fourth quarter were against their 5th string DB. I don't know how you're able to think that that is a good play right there when you have Jamar Chase against a 4th string DB. Yeah, he's going to route him up. He's going to score. Browning just has to throw it downfield. Not a perfect representation of how Browning's day was. He was awful. Chase went off again in the fourth quarter, 6 catches for 110 yards, those two TDs. T. Higgins had 3 catches for 22 yards and a score. But my God, the Bengals were embarrassing. They managed just 85 yards rushing and looked completely lost. You could hear the boos coming in the first quarter for Jake Browning. Okay, the first drive, the Browns actually looked rattled. They had no rhythm. They had no force. They had nothing. The Lions, they kept it rolling. Okay, they did have some momentum defensively. They were able to get a strip sack on the Lions' first drive, but man, the defense stepped it up and the offense stepped them down. Whenever the Lions couldn't get any momentum going, the Bengals gave it right back to them, usually on their own side of the field. Jared Goff was nearly perfect, 19 for 23, 258 yards, 3 TDs. Montgomery and Gibbs both combined for 119 yards on the ground. Montgomery actually rushed one in and passed one in. What a day for him. Amon St. Brown continues to be steady and one of the big-time receivers of the league for 8 catches, 100 yards receiving. Sam Laporta continues to impress. 5 receptions for 92 yards and a touchdown. Nothing new. The Lions dominate with a 37-24 win over the Bengals. But, man, we got to talk about this. I know I was harping on it earlier, but this has to be mentioned. The Bengals now are 2-3 after starting 2-0 this season. They are spiraling out of control without Joe Burrow. He's not coming back till December. Let's take a quick look at the rest of their schedule until Joe Burrow comes back. Next week, they play against the Packers, then the Steelers, the Jets, the Bears, the Bengals, the Patriots, and the Ravens until they get the Bills on December 7th. And there's no guarantee that Joe Burrow will come back December 7th against the Bills. So you're looking at a possible 1 to 2 wins the next couple weeks from the Bengals, which might take them out of the playoff race entirely. Joe Burrow cannot bring them back when you have a 3-win season so far going into December. I'm here to call that the Bengals season's over. They're done. Unless they make a big-time move for a QB who's just going to say, screw it. Jamar Chase is down there somewhere. Higgins is down there somewhere. You need a quarterback who is decisive, who with a big arm, and who has that chemistry with those receivers. And there's not a lot of quarterbacks out there who can do that. So before the deadline in November, I think that the Bengals need to make a drastic move, or else they are sitting at the bottom of the division with the Browns, with the Ravens. And let's talk about the Steelers for a quick second. They're standing at the top of this division right now, easily. The Bengals are behind them, sure, from those 2 wins that they won in the first 2 weeks of the season, but that's about it. They're about to spiral out of control. Ravens don't look like they're going to improve anytime soon, and the Browns are still the Browns. Aaron Rodgers and the Steelers are going to run away with this division, and it looks pretty clear. Only week 5, they're taking it. So I don't know what the Bengals are going to do. Hopefully something extraordinary, because right now there's too much talent on the offensive side of the ball with Chase, with Higgins. They're going to get frustrated soon. And the last thing I do want to say about this is, how many times are we going to see the offensive weapons together on the field at the same time? I'm talking about Burrow. I'm talking about Higgins. I'm talking about Chase. I think those numbers are going to be few and far between. Joe Burrow officially has an injury problem. He hasn't been able to play a full season so far without getting nicked, but that's the nature of the game. Another important question that Cincinnati needs to answer: is Zach Taylor really the guy? Sure, when Burrow is healthy, the Bengals are one of the best teams in the AFC. No question about it. Joe Burrow is one of the few QBs who have been able to take down Mahomes when they were in their prime. But right now, they're not looking like that. They're looking like the old Bengals. So there's some decisions that need to be made in Cincinnati. Otherwise, the Bengals are going to be sitting at the bottom of the division with the Browns looking at the Steelers run away with it again. And with that, thank you so much for watching Gameflow. My name is Nelson. Please stay tuned throughout the week as we continue to break down some of the wins and losses from week 5 of the NFL season. Make sure that you subscribe to the Gameflow Report so you know when I drop my next video. Click that like button to help out with the algorithm. Also click the bell so you know right when I drop the next episode. Thank you so much for watching Gameflow Report. My name is Nelson, and I'll see you next time.